policy on cell phones?
Well, we don't really allow cell phones like out in school. You can have them in your backpack, but you just can't take them out.
Okay. Do you have a cell phone?
I do not.
Okay. Because you guys are, what, like 11, 12? Like,
Yeah.
Do any of you guys have them yet?
I have a cell phone.
Spania, you have a cell phone.
Yes, I do.
How long have you had it?
I've had it for about a year now.
Okay. So
Yeah.
you were probably, what, 10 when you got it?
No, still 11.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what do you think of the school's policy of not being able to use it during the day?
I mean, I think it's really good because us as like kids, we need to learn how to like hold conversations and like speak to each other so that we don't become socially awkward and we don't have this like big disconnect. I didn't even know that like at other middle schools that you were allowed to have your cell phone out, because it just seems really weird to me, because like to me school is a place to like learn and talk to your peers, not to be on your phone.
Do you want to use it during the day?
No, I don't.
So do you find that most kids obey the rule and they're not like
Yeah.
running to their bags and like checking it during the day and things
Yeah.
like that? Yeah. Why do you think it's good to have some distance from it?
I think it's good because, like, I don't know if there's any, like, scientific stuff about, like, being on your phone too much, but when I am on my phone too much, it just feels really weird to me and, like, wrong, and, like, I get, like, a little nauseous, but, like, as soon as I, like, go outside or play or, like, talk to people in person, I, like, feel better, and I just feel like everyone needs to have the experience of, you know, talking to people and having conversations and everything.
So you don't have one yet, but I'm guessing that you probably are looking forward to getting one.
I am.
But do you have mixed feelings about it?
We've been learning about cell phones, and like at first I really wanted one, but now that we've been learning, I'm like not really so sure anymore.
Why are some of the reasons you wouldn't want it?
Just because it can be very distracting. Yeah.
Like, do you see, like, are your parents, you don't have to, like, throw your parents under the bus, but do your parents, like, use cell phones?
Yeah, my parents use cell phones.
So they haven't had the benefit of an education-based sort of warning about cell phones. Like, adults, we just got them and we just started to use them and we didn't really understand, like, what the impact would be. Do you feel like you're kind of lucky that you're, like, getting an education on them before you actually start using them?
I do. We can learn a lot before we use them, and then we can use them responsibly and even teach our parents how to use them responsibly.
Do you think parents use them responsibly?
Most of the time.
Yeah. Do you find that there are moments sometimes where you're like, Mom and Dad, like, why are you on your phone? Or people that you know that are older?
Some moments. They mostly try not to be on their phones all the time.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So do you know what age your parents will let you get one?
Probably either 13, maybe 14.
Yeah, so like 8th grade or so.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. What are some of the things that you've learned here at school when they talk about social media and how it impacts like your health and wellness and your like image of yourself and things like that?
We've mostly learned a lot about cyberbullying and how like texting is like you can text something and it doesn't really come out as like a human emotion and facial expression, so you can't really tell when you're upsetting someone.
Right.
So we've mostly been learning about cyberbullying and that kind of stuff.
So neither of you have a phone yet.
No.
Have you talked to your parents about when you might get one?
Yes, well, I'm getting mine when I'm 13 for my birthday.
Not really, because I've been saving for an iPad, and I think if I have an iPad, I mean, there's not really a use for a phone. I mean, I can do the same things.
Do you know a phone is supposed to be used to call people, right?
Yeah.
And nobody really does that anymore, do they?
Yeah, not many people really call anymore. I think it's really just relied on text and email and other social media.
Yeah. You guys have home phones, or do your parents just have cell phones?
We do have home phones.
Do you call friends on the phone?
No, I actually don't. I don't usually call friends on the home phone.
What about you?
Well, I have an iPad, and I usually FaceTime or like call my friends on my iPad. So.
Okay. So you're still able to do things that a phone would do.
Yeah.
So what's going to
Mostly.
be the difference for you when you get the phone?
Well, I guess some of the difference is that a phone is smaller and you can just pop it in your pocket. But more so of an iPad is bigger, and I guess sometimes like iPads and computers are more used for typing up documents and things like that. So.
All right, so I'm going to ask you guys all quickly, like a show of hands. How many of you want a cell phone or have wanted, like you want it? Okay.
Maybe.
You guys all seem a little unsure about it. This is like super interesting because like if I had asked this question 3 years ago, everybody's hand would have shot up like this.
Yeah.
Like literally yes, 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 yes. Ben, why are you unsure?
I'm mostly unsure because I personally don't really call people that much, and I don't really bring my iPad other places, so I don't have a use for it to be smaller. So, I mean, I don't really think I have a use for a phone right now because there's not really anything I can do on that I can't do on an iPad.
What about you, Violet?
Well, I want a cell phone because it's just a little easier to have it, but I'm a little unsure because you can get sometimes addicted to it, and sometimes when you want to get off, you still feel like you can't get off. So sometimes I don't want to have that privilege to have one because sometimes I can just bring it anywhere and then pop it out and be texting a friend or playing a game. And I want to be more social and playing outside and do more things than just be on technology.
Show of hands again. How many of you have either adults or older people, whether it's older siblings in your life, where you wish that they were on their phones less?
By phones, do you mean electronics or only just phones?
Yeah, electronics. Yeah. Okay.
So I raised my hand because, like, a lot of times when my parents are, like, on their phones, I mean, they'll respond to me, but it'll be sort of a delayed response. When the woman who came to talk to us about, like, electronics, she told us that actually, like, being on your phone, it makes your hearing worse. So, like, you really just, like, can't hear it. So, like, that's kind of annoying. But, I mean, the same thing happens to them when they call my name. It's always, like, a bit of a delayed response.
Yeah.
So, that can get kind of annoying.
How many wish that cell phones didn't exist sometimes? All right. Why do you think that it would be maybe a better thing if they weren't here?
Well, sometimes like I have a friend who has a cell phone, and they're like a really close friend to me, and sometimes like when we're out doing something, they just pull out their phone, and again, it can get kind of annoying when I'm right there and they're just on their phone.
What about you, Nia?
So with me, it's like I feel like a ton of people are like on their phone or even just any sort of electronic device too much. Like for example, on Mother's Day, I went to Fleming's with my family and my grandparents, and there was a kid there who was on a computer while sitting at the table eating with his family, or even just like people pulling their phones out at the table. It's like when you're having like dinner or lunch or brunch or whatever with somebody, the point is for you to talk to them, not to be on an electronic device talking to like someone else or anything. I just feel like it's inappropriate to do those sort of things. And like another thing about people having phones is then they don't really know how to act or react in certain social situations. And I mean, for like a lot of people, especially people who are more introverted, I like understand why it's easier for you to like talk to someone over text, because like there's sort of that like sense of safety, like, oh, I don't have to worry about being socially awkward or anything. But it's still important to like establish like that socially adeptness.
What about you, Violet? Let's move the microphone down.
So, sometimes I wish cell phones weren't a thing because, like Will said earlier, sometimes I'm with a friend, and some of my friends, sometimes they come into school and they're just kind of like, oh, did you get my text yesterday, to my other friend? And I'm like, oh, well, that kind of leaves me out because I can't text yet. But another thing is that when you're with your friends, you want to also like have a fun time with them and not just be kind of on your phone and not talking to each other, because the whole point of being with each other is actually in the moment with them.
Yeah.
So.
And you, Ben?
I think sometimes I think that I wish there weren't phones because just a lot of people just are using them way too much, and a lot of kids and adults are addicted to their phones, and sometimes it's more of the education about the electronics than actually like using them a ton, because if you're educated you won't use it as much. And I think that's something my family does pretty well, but a lot of people, sometimes my friends, and like they just use their phones or iPads or whatever a lot.
Yeah.